everyone, welcome back to another Jazz Drummer Q-Tip of the week. If you're new, my name is Quincy Davis. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I trust that you're going to enjoy this lesson so much that you're going to want to press that like button. And please consider subscribing because I put out weekly lessons that I'm confident you'll enjoy and learn a lot from. So jumping right into this lesson on 5 ways to tune drums like a pro, I'll be honest with you, I've been a little bit hesitant to do a video on tuning, and a lot of you in the comments, as always, please leave some comments. I love hearing from everybody, and I do listen, and this is proof because I've gotten a lot of comments and requests to do a tuning video, tuning lesson. So here I am, but as I said, I've been a little bit hesitant because I don't necessarily have a super clear and logical and methodical way of tuning my drums, to be honest. However, I've obviously tuned a lot of drums in my time, whether they're my personal drums or drums I'm playing on the road. And I do have, things that I do consistently that I think have helped me kind of achieve good sounding drums, good tuning for drums wherever I'm playing. So I'm going to give you those things. I'll give you 5 ways to tune drums like a pro. You ready? You ready? Okay, here we go. All right, so the first thing you got to do if you want to tune drums like a pro is listen to them. And this is especially true for house kits. If you're playing, you go to a place and you got to play the drums that they provide. Listen to the drums first. Don't just start tuning away. So that's exactly what I do. I show up to the club and I just kind of play them as they are. And I'm just listening. And the first thing you got to decide, hey, do I like the tuning of these drums? It's a simple question, but it's an important one. So decide if you like it, and if you don't like it, what don't you like it? What don't you like about it? Are they tuned too high? Are the pitches, is the tone too short for you? Too short for the music that you're going to be playing? Or are they tuned too low where you don't get any clarity, right? So that's the first thing that you can do, is just decide whether you like them, whether you need to tune them. Super simple, right? Gotta do it though. Hey, by the way, I want to make sure you're aware of an online group lesson that I'm offering this month, January 22nd. Last month's lesson was so much fun, and this month I know it's going to be a lot of fun. It's actually 3 lessons: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So if that interests you, you want to make sure you sign up right away because spots are filling up fast. The link will be down below. Okay, so the next thing you got to do if you want to tune drums like a pro, right? It's all about being a pro. Even if you're not trying to be a pro, you want to tune drums like a pro. The next thing you got to do is get some good drums. Sometimes easier said than done, especially if you're traveling, right? But if you have any control over what drums you play, what drums are provided, or if you're purchasing drums for yourself, get some good drums. For me, good drums, they respond to your tuning. You can tune, you can tweak, just make small little tweaks, and you notice that the drum is responding on both the top and the bottom head, right? Also, maybe the tuning range is much wider and much bigger. The tuning range of a good drum is pretty big. So they sound good tuned low, as well as mid-range, as well as higher, right? Of course, every drum has its sweet spot, and you have to listen to the talents of the drum. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on. But that's a sign of a good drum. If the drum is responding to your tuning, even small tweaks, and if the range is big. Now, a bad drum will be the opposite, right? The range is small. Even if it sounds good at like a certain pitch or a certain small range, if it doesn't sound good outside of that range, even if it's not its sweet spot, that's a sign of a bad drum, or not. The drum is not as high quality as other drums. Let's say it like that. Whether you want to tune it higher or lower than its sweet spot, it should still sound good, right? Also, it might not be as responsive to your tuning, right? So you can't get the exact pitch and tone quality that you're looking for on a drum that's not built as well. All right, so the next thing you got to do if you want to tune drums like a pro is choose some good heads. Choose heads that help you achieve the sound from the drums that you are hearing in your head, in your ear. Now, as you can see in this camera, I'm kind of all over the place, and that's why I've been tentative in doing a video like this, because I'm kind of all over the place with my drum heads. I got Aquarian texture coded. I'll make sure I put all the equipment down below in the description. But I got Aquarian texture head here on these two drums, and then I got an Evans UV1, which I love on the snare drum. I love it. It's kind of like an Ambassador, but it's an Evans head, so it has a slightly different sound, and it sounds great with brushes. So I use that on my snare, and then on this drum I have a Remo Ambassador head. Now, if I put Remo heads on these drums, I'm sure they'd sound close to the way they sound now, but I've just been experimenting, and I think it's good to experiment with different heads. But one big thing that you got to really pay attention to is the ply, right? Do you want a 1-ply head? Do you want a 2-ply head? Do you want a 3-ply head? These kinds of changes will make a big difference in how the drum responds, right? So I'm looking for a nice resonant sound in my drums, right? You can really hear the pitch, and I could even tune them lower for more of a sustained sound, but that's what I want. And I can also play them really quiet, and you get the attack. You can hear the subtlety of the attack. Now, if I play a thicker head, then I miss the subtlety of that attack at the quieter dynamics, and I have to hit them a lot harder to get the sound of the attack to come out, right? So that's why I choose 1-ply heads. Now, you might want that thicker sound because you're hitting harder or for whatever reason, but that is something to pay attention to. Do you want clear heads? Do you want heads with mutes around it? There's so many different things. Do you want a dot? They all affect your sound, and you have to really pay attention to that. And do not go with a head just because someone else is doing it. Just because I'm playing these heads does not mean that you have to, nor does it mean that they're going to sound good on your drums. Keep that in mind, okay? And I just want to say also, for jazz, since I'm a jazz drummer, it's common to have 1-ply heads on the top, and then on the bottom to have a 1-ply clear head. So that 1-ply Remo Ambassador resonant head is very common. So keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind before we go on to the next point is the greater implications of having the wrong or the right heads. So if you have the wrong heads on your drums, or heads that you're not comfortable with, it could make you play differently, right? And for better or for worse, right? It could force you to play differently. Maybe I have to hit much harder, as I mentioned before, if I'm playing 2-ply heads, or if I'm playing clear, dotted, clear black dot heads, right? I have to hit much harder, and I can't play as sensitively as I can with these heads. So it's going to adjust how I play the drums, and therefore it's going to adjust how and change the way I sound. And conversely, if I have the right heads, then I can kind of relax, and I can play the way I'm hearing in my head, and know that I'm getting the sound that I want from the drums. So that's another thing to keep in mind about choosing the right heads. Whoa! All right, so moving on to the next way of tuning your drums like a pro, I'm actually going to tune this drum. I've detuned it. Sounds pretty bad. but on purpose. I'm going to tune this drum up as if I've gotten to a gig and I'm playing new drums and I got to get the drums sounding good, okay? The first thing that I want you to know is the way I think about the heads is the top head I think about as responsible for the attack of the drum or the attack of the stick on the drum. And then I think about the bottom head more responsible for the tone of the drum, okay? And it's not exclusive at all. There's so many variables that I'm sure science, you know, if you get into the science of it, it'll kind of refute all that nonsense. But this is just how I think about it, and it helps me kind of focus my tuning and get to, you know, getting the drum sounding good as quick as possible. So here we go. I'm going to tune the drum. And again, I have no scientific, methodical way of doing this aside from just going around the drum like everyone does. Nothing special, nothing crazy. And I generally tune the bottom head. Again, I start with the bottom head. And take the drum off the rack, by the way, guys. Sometimes I see people kind of trying to tune, you know, and you're just not going to get as accurate of a tuning as possible. So make sure you take the drum off the tom rack, and it'll be easier. So I tune the bottom head to a medium to medium high pitch, and I generally like the bottom head slightly either equal to or slightly higher or tighter than the top head. Okay. And I do check the lugs. I just kind of do this. I'm not trying to match exact pitches. I don't know. I haven't found that's made my drum sound better or worse. So I'm kind of over that phase. I did used to do that. I'm just listening to see if there's any outstanding or kind of sounds. If I'm trying to look for a lug that is way out of tuning than from the other lugs. And if not, then we're good to go. And then I'll kind of tap the drum. All right. So I don't hear anything. Do you? I think it sounds pretty good. Well, it doesn't sound good, but it sounds like it's a healthy drum. Okay. So now we tune the top part, the top head. And for this head, again, it depends on what I'm going for. So if I want more of a bebop sound, then I'm going to tune the toms kind of high because you want more articulation, like Max Roach, right? Or Charlie Persip. Like, you know, you can really hear each note in the articulation because the toms are a little bit higher. But if I want more of a resonant sound, or if I'm playing in more of a modern jazz kind of sound or situation or band, then I'll tune my toms lower. One thing I love about these drums, these are the Maple STARCLASSIC TAMA drums. I can tune them wherever I want, and they're going to sound good. And that goes back to making sure that you have good drums. You got to have some good drums so that you got some flexibility. Okay, again, not super scientific, I know. I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. I've probably lost a bunch of people already because they're like, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing. Well, maybe I don't, but my drums sound good, so I don't care. Okay. Okay, so now let's see what the tom sounds like just playing it. Duh. Okay, so it's tuned pretty high, right? And alone, this is another thing you got to make sure you think about. Just playing the drum by themselves is important, but it's most important to play them with the other drums to see how they resonate with each other, to see how they kind of sound together. So, okay, so right away I know. Okay, I generally like the snare drum to be higher than the floor, the rack tom, and it is slightly, but I might tune the tom just slightly lower. And so this is when, because I have the bottom head at a pretty good tension, it's not too high, not too low, my drum is going to respond nicely to just small tweaks, you see? And now the tom is definitely lower than my snare drum. Okay. And I think the drum is a little happier there. It sounds a little better there. Okay. Again, this is a higher pitch than some of you who want more of a thuddy or more of a lower resonant sound, which I can as well do. But for now, we're just going to go with this. Okay, so you can hear playing the drums together as opposed to just playing the one drum, putting it in context helps you hear how that drum sounds with the other drums, and it kind of will either tell you to adjust it more or tell you it's cool. And for me, the drums are sounding good together. It sounds nice. So I'm going to leave it at that. There we go. So this time I'm going to tune the drum a little lower, and I want you to hear how it affects the overall tone, and I want you to hear how it affects how clear you hear the attack on the with the stick. Okay, so I'm going to tune the bottom head just slightly lower than it was, slightly. Okay, so we get a little bit more resonance. If you detune it, or if you make the bottom head too loose, then you actually lose resonance. Believe it or not, there's like a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot that you don't want to go past. Otherwise, the drum loses its resonance and its ability to project its sound. Okay, so now I just tuned the bottom head down. Okay, it's already lower, but now I'm going to tune the top head a little lower, and you're going to see how I lose a little bit of attack, and it becomes warmer, right? It becomes warmer and rounder of a sound, and the drum will start to sing even more. See, it's already really sustaining. And you can see I'm hitting the drum, and you're getting attack. It's not like you lose attack at this pitch. But the attack is not the first thing you notice. The first thing you notice is the sound, the tone of the drum. And this is a perfect example of, again, these TAMA drums, they really respond to everything that I want them to do. Whether I want them to sound like this, resonant, nice and warm and round. So let's see what that sounds like. And it sounds a little weird because my floor tom is tuned higher, more of a bebop sound. So, but we'll just kind of keep it at that for now. Okay, so this is another question I get a lot, is whether I tune my drums to pitches or do I not think about pitches and just try to get the drums to sound good? And the answer is both. Let me explain. I have kind of a starting place that I generally go to for drums. So I think about the bass drum as an E. The second floor tom is an E. So it's the same pitch. And the reason I do that is because I like the sympathetic resonance that you can hear when I hit the bass drum. I actually like the floor tom to ring a little bit. It makes the drum sound bigger for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I do like that sound. As long as it's not too much. Okay, so those are tuned the same way. And then I go to a fifth above. So what's a fifth? Music theory people, this is a B. And it's not exact, but I have a tuning fork, a digital tuning fork here. Let's see how I did. Right? It's a little flat, but that's okay. It's, again, these are just it's just a starting place. But you can hear that fifth. Do, dee, do, dee. Right? And then I go to a G. And actually, this is out of whack because I was just adjusting it and tuning it for you. So let's tune this to a G. Again, when I'm tuning, like everyone does, I go in opposite directions, right? Diagonal, boom, 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 boom. I never tune right in a row like that. Okay. And we're almost there. Small adjustments go a long ways because you want the tuning to be even from lug to lug. We're a little flat. Let's listen to our G. There we go. We're a little sharp, actually. That's good. Okay, so that's kind of my start. Oh, and my snare drum, I generally like to be an A. Da, 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 da. Okay, that's where I start. But then I say, hey, do I want more of an articulate sound for tonight, for this band, for this music, or for this room? Maybe the room is super boomy and I need more attack, so I'll tune my drums a little slightly higher for more clarity. Or do I want more resonance for the situation, for the room, for the band, for the music, for the style? So these are all things that I'm thinking about when I'm tuning my drums. And it really makes a difference in how the drums sound in context with the band. So think about pitches, but don't be limited necessarily to pitches, because you might find that, hey, maybe if I tune it a half step higher, it actually sounds better. You know, that's just what I feel. But I do know that other drummers are kind of dedicated to certain pitches, no matter when they're playing, what drums they're playing, what band, what style. And that's cool too. It works for them. Whatever works for you, but that's just what I do. All right, so that is the lesson on 5 ways of tuning drums like a pro. And I know there's a lot of lessons. There's a lot of tuning lessons that you can find on YouTube, and you should check a lot of those out because everyone has something different to say. And hopefully in this lesson you learned something, or it kind of got you to think about tuning in a different way maybe than you had thought about it before. And explore, try different techniques, try different approaches, and see what works for you. Until the next time, practice hard, but practice smart. Take care. Bye-bye.